Have you ever wondered why some people achieve extraordinary success while others remain stuck, no matter how hard they work or how many hours they put in? Have you ever felt like you're giving everything you have, yet seeing no real results? In his book, The 3% Rule, Brian O'Malley delivers a powerful answer that has transformed thousands of lives. Real success isn't about non-stop effort. It's about directing just 3% of your energy toward the right actions. This single idea has the power to reorganize your entire life. Your struggle has never been about a lack of talent, bad luck, or difficult circumstances. The real problem is the absence of a clear daily system, a structure that guides your small steps consistently toward your goal. The book doesn't drown you in theories or empty motivational slogans. Instead, it reveals a simple truth. Success isn't a sudden leap, it's a steady accumulation. It's the discipline to improve yourself by a small 3% every day. Not luck, not miracles, but precise and honest self-accountability. Through its pages, you'll uncover the habits that drain your time, the decisions that slow your progress, and the subtle ways your own mind keeps you trapped in your comfort zone. Then it hands you a practical roadmap to rebuild your life, one that sharpens your focus, increases your productivity, and strengthens your discipline. You'll realize that real change begins within, and progress doesn't require massive strength, just consistency and intentionality. If this is your first time hearing about the 3% rule, prepare yourself. Your time, your goals, and the way you see your life will never look the same again after this journey.
Chapter 1. Discovering the 3% Secret, the moment that changes your destiny. In this chapter, Brian O'Leary reveals a truth that most people overlook their entire lives. Success isn't born from one explosive breakthrough, but from a small spark repeated over time. He explains how humans tend to overestimate what they can accomplish in a single day, yet vastly underestimate what a full year of consistent effort can achieve. This is where the 3% secret emerges, a tiny percentage that seems insignificant to the impatient mind, but in the realm of habits and psychological laws becomes the key to deep transformation. O'Leary shows that each person has a limited amount of daily energy. When this energy is scattered across pointless meetings, endless messages, and constant distractions, we end up exhausted without achieving anything meaningful. But when you dedicate the best 3% of your day to one thing only, a skill, a project, a habit, or a strategic goal, you initiate a genuine shift. The results may not appear instantly, but they slowly reshape the course of your future. He emphasizes that this small percentage isn't just a productivity tactic, it's an act of resistance, resistance to distraction, resistance to frustration, and resistance to the belief that change is hard or impossible. The 3% achievers free themselves from the chaos of busy days and craft effective ones where every action is intentional, every minute matters, and every small win becomes a building block for a bigger life. Over time, the difference becomes undeniable, while others stay stuck in the endless race of tasks. The truth is simple: a small step, repeated consistently, eventually becomes monumental. Chapter 2. The Power of Self-Discipline, the Backbone of the 3% Rule. Here, O'Leary explains that self-discipline isn't a trait reserved for a select few. It's a skill built gradually, step by step, until it becomes an inseparable part of your identity. The real difference between those who reach their goals and those who remain trapped in wishful thinking isn't luck or natural talent. It's the ability to keep going even when motivation disappears. The author exposes a common misconception many people fall for, the belief that the future is shaped only by big decisions. The truth is far simpler and far more powerful. Your future is crafted through daily discipline, small actions, and continuous repetition. Successful individuals don't wait for the perfect moment. Instead, they build an internal system that keeps them moving forward even on their hardest days. This transforms self-discipline into an unstoppable force that anchors their entire life.
Continuation of Chapter 2, Discipline as True Freedom. Those who follow the 3% rule understand that discipline isn't a prison, it's real freedom. Freedom from chaos, procrastination, distraction, and the randomness that drains your life. The more you commit to your small daily steps, the more a new inner strength begins to grow inside you, because for the first time, you see yourself doing what you said you would do, honoring the promises you made to yourself. Oellig explains that discipline isn't just the ability to work, it's the ability to resist temptation, the temptation to delay tasks, scroll through your phone, please others at the expense of your own goals, or give your time away to things that don't matter. The 3% achievers learn to say no to the world so they can say yes to their future. Even imperfect attempts build strength. Just as muscles grow through repetition, discipline grows through accumulated effort. This is what makes Chapter 2 the foundation of the entire book. Success doesn't require superhuman willpower. It requires a small, simple system, one you can repeat every day without burning out. Over time, that system becomes a lifestyle. You become someone who trusts yourself because you've proven to yourself that you can show up consistently. You become someone who stays aligned with the 3% rule even when others crumble under the weight of disorder. This chapter teaches that success isn't just possible, it becomes inevitable when small discipline is practiced persistently. Chapter 3. Destroying excuses and freeing the mind from its chains. In this chapter, the reader is confronted with a difficult but necessary truth. What holds most people back isn't luck, circumstances, or the environment. It's the excuses they create and wholeheartedly believe. The human mind is a master at generating justifications. It dresses them up to look logical and reasonable, when in reality they are nothing more than a shield hiding the fear of change. Oellig explains that discipline isn't just the ability to work, it's the ability to resist temptation, the temptation to delay tasks, scroll through your phone, please others at the expense of your own goals, or give your time away to things that don't matter. The 3% achievers learn to say no to the world so they can say yes to their future. Even imperfect attempts build strength. Just as muscles grow through repetition, discipline grows through accumulated effort. Continuation of Chapter 3. Breaking Excuses and Reclaiming Mental Freedom. Many people convince themselves that they are limited by their circumstances or simply not the kind of person who changes, and without realizing it, they close every door of growth with their own hands. Brian Oellig explains that the 3% achievers are not fearless, nor do they live pressure-free lives. What sets them apart is their willingness to see their excuses for what they truly are: invisible chains that numb the will and quietly steal years of a person's life. These individuals don't fight their excuses with anger, they expose them. They catch themselves in the act whenever the mind invents a new justification. They pause and say, "This isn't a reason, this is an escape." That moment of honesty is enough to crack the wall of helplessness a person has spent years building around themselves. After honesty comes the next step, replacing the excuse with a practical question. Instead of "I don't have time," they ask, "What can I do in the few minutes I have?" Instead of "I can't," they ask, "What is the smallest step I can take right now?" Instead of "My situation won't allow it," they ask, "What can I do despite my situation?"
Every time a person breaks an excuse, it feels as though a piece of their soul has been released from an invisible cage. Over time, their self-image transforms. They begin to see themselves as capable, responsible, and genuinely in control of their own direction. Oellig emphasizes that progress isn't just the climb toward your goals, it is liberation from old voices, inherited fears, external expectations, and the psychological limits you unknowingly built yourself. Each excuse you shed becomes a new step on the ladder of success, expanding your inner world. The core message of this chapter is simple yet profound. You cannot take a single step toward your future as long as you continue lying to yourself. Chapter 4. Understanding Habits and Building Continuous Momentum. In this chapter, the author dives into one of the greatest truths about success. A person is not shaped by occasional achievements, but by the small habits repeated until they become part of who they are. Everyone lives within a loop of daily actions, rituals so familiar and automatic that they determine your destiny far more than the dreams you hold in your mind. Life doesn't respond to grand intentions as much as it responds to small, consistent steps. A habit is not a random action, it is the bridge between what you hope for and what you eventually accomplish. If this bridge is solid and steady, you will reach your destination no matter how long the path may be. But if it is weak or inconsistent, your dream will remain suspended in your imagination, no matter how big or inspiring it seems.
Continuation of Chapter 4. The Power of Tiny Habits and the Momentum They Create. Many people begin their journey with excitement, only to lose their spark quickly because they believe change must be dramatic and immediate. But the truth is this: deep transformation starts with a single action you can repeat 1,000 times. Those who follow the 3% rule understand this deeply. They don't chase big leaps, they chase consistency. A small daily habit, even one that takes just minutes, will always outperform the grand master plan that keeps getting postponed. The author explains that habits have two powerful secrets. First, they form easily when they're not overwhelming. Second, they reshape your identity over time. When a person commits to a simple habit, reading a few pages, moving their body, or working briefly on a meaningful project, they begin to see themselves differently, as someone disciplined, committed, and capable. This new identity fuels continuity. Continuity produces results, and results generate motivation. This creates an upward spiral that's nearly impossible to stop. The danger doesn't lie only in negative habits themselves, but in their ability to accumulate with the same force. Bad habits grow quietly, day after day, until they become a wall standing between a person and the life they desire. This is why the author insists on daily awareness, to observe what you do without thinking, to notice what you allow into your day, and to pay attention to the small actions that seem insignificant but are silently shaping your future. The lesson is clear. Truly successful people don't ask, "What do I want to become?" They ask, "What habits must I live today to become that person?" You don't walk directly to your goals, you grow into the version of yourself capable of reaching them. This is the essence of Chapter 4. Habits are not minor details, they are the destiny that builds you step by step. Chapter 5. The Power of Focus: How a Clear Mind Produces Extraordinary Results. In this chapter, the author reveals one of the most overlooked principles of success. A distracted mind cannot produce meaningful achievement, and unfocused energy evaporates before it ever makes an impact. We live in a world overflowing with distractions: messages, noise, demands, screens, news, and endless obligations. In such an environment, focus has become a rare skill.
And the individual who masters focus gains the ability to advance at a pace others simply cannot match. Continuation of Chapter 4: The Power of Tiny Habits and the Momentum They Create. Many people begin their journey with excitement, only to lose their spark quickly because they believe change must be dramatic and immediate. But the truth is this: deep transformation starts with a single action you can repeat 1,000 times. Those who follow the 3% rule understand this deeply. They don't chase big leaps, they chase consistency. A small daily habit, even one that takes just minutes, will always outperform the grand master plan that keeps getting postponed. The author explains that habits have two powerful secrets. First, they form easily when they're not overwhelming. Second, they reshape your identity over time. When a person commits to a simple habit, reading a few pages, moving their body, or working briefly on a meaningful project, they begin to see themselves differently, as someone disciplined, committed, and capable. This new identity fuels continuity. Continuity produces results, and results generate motivation. This creates an upward spiral that's nearly impossible to stop. The danger doesn't lie only in negative habits themselves, but in their ability to accumulate with the same force. Bad habits grow quietly, day after day, until they become a wall standing between a person and the life they desire. This is why the author insists on daily awareness, to observe what you do without thinking, to notice what you allow into your day, and to pay attention to the small actions that seem insignificant but are silently shaping your future. The lesson is clear. Truly successful people don't ask, "What do I want to become?" They ask, "What habits must I live today to become that person?" You don't walk directly to your goals, you grow into the version of yourself capable of reaching them. This is the essence of Chapter 4. Habits are not minor details, they are the destiny that builds you step by step. Chapter 5: The Power of Focus: How a Clear Mind Produces Extraordinary Results. In this chapter, the author reveals one of the most overlooked principles of success. A distracted mind cannot produce meaningful achievement, and unfocused energy evaporates before it ever makes an impact. We live in a world overflowing with distractions: messages, noise, demands, screens, news, and endless obligations. In such an environment, focus has become a rare skill. And the individual who masters focus gains the ability to advance at a pace others simply cannot match. Continuation of Chapter 4: The Power of Tiny Habits and the Momentum They Create. Many people begin their journey with excitement, only to lose their spark quickly because they believe change must be dramatic and immediate. But the truth is this: deep transformation starts with a single action you can repeat 1,000 times. Those who follow the 3% rule understand this deeply. They don't chase big leaps, they chase consistency. A small daily habit, even one that takes just minutes, will always outperform the grand master plan that keeps getting postponed. The author explains that habits have two powerful secrets. First, they form easily when they're not overwhelming. Second, they reshape your identity over time. When a person commits to a simple habit, reading a few pages, moving their body, or working briefly on a meaningful project, they begin to see themselves differently, as someone disciplined, committed, and capable. This new identity fuels continuity. Continuity produces results, and results generate motivation. This creates an upward spiral that's nearly impossible to stop. The danger doesn't lie only in negative habits themselves, but in their ability to accumulate with the same force. Bad habits grow quietly, day after day, until they become a wall standing between a person and the life they desire. This is why the author insists on daily awareness, to observe what you do without thinking, to notice what you allow into your day, and to pay attention to the small actions that seem insignificant but are silently shaping your future. The lesson is clear. Truly successful people don't ask, "What do I want to become?" They ask, "What habits must I live today to become that person?" You don't walk directly to your goals. You grow into the version of yourself capable of reaching them. This is the essence of Chapter 4. Habits are not minor details. They are the destiny that builds you step by step. Chapter 5. The Power of Focus. How a clear mind produces extraordinary results. In this chapter, the author reveals one of the most overlooked principles of success. A distracted mind cannot produce meaningful achievement, and unfocused energy evaporates before it ever makes an impact. We live in a world overflowing with distractions, messages, noise, demands, screens, news, and endless obligations. In such an environment, focus has become a rare skill, and the individual who masters focus gains the ability to advance at a pace others simply cannot match.
Continuation of Chapter 5, Mastering Focus and Directing Mental Power. The author explains that focus is not merely the act of eliminating distractions, it is the art of directing your mental energy toward the single most important goal in the present moment. Those who live by the 3% rule don't allow their minds to scatter across dozens of tasks. They choose one direction and pour their best energy into it. A common misconception is that achievement requires working non-stop throughout the day, but real accomplishment happens when a person dedicates their strongest hours to their most meaningful tasks, letting the unimportant things fall away without guilt. For these individuals, focus is not accidental, it is a deliberate daily choice. The choice to avoid opening their phone before completing the first task, the choice to stay out of empty conversations, and the choice not to let others' emotions pull them off their path. The author compares the mind to a lens. When it is scattered, the image blurs. When it is focused, the light intensifies and impact grows. Great achievers were not born with extraordinary powers. They simply mastered the rare ability to live each day with clarity, knowing what they are doing, why they are doing it, and when to step back. Loss of focus is not a time problem, it is a vision problem. The person who doesn't know what they want becomes lost in every direction and ends the day exhausted but empty-handed. But the one who has a clear aim channels their eyes toward one point, their soul toward one desire, and their effort toward one step. Their days begin to work for them instead of draining them. The author emphasizes the compound power of focused effort. One concentrated hour a day, directed at a meaningful goal, eventually becomes a written book, a finished project, a mastered skill, a new life, or even a completely new identity. The essence of this chapter is simple. People are not defeated by weakness, they fade away through distraction. Whoever controls their attention controls their destiny. Chapter 6. Facing Failure and Transforming the Fall into Strength. In this chapter, the author delivers a profound lesson. Failure is not an ending, it is a test of your ability to continue. A fall does not define your worth, but it reveals how deeply you desire to rise again. Many people view failure as a sign of weakness, when in reality, failure is part of the plan and a necessary stage on the path to any meaningful achievement. The person who avoids failure traps themselves in stagnation. The one who meets it with awareness and courage opens the door to invaluable lessons. The 3% achievers don't see failure as a painful event alone. They see it as an opportunity for refinement. Every fall becomes a chance to sharpen their skills, adjust their strategies, and strengthen their inner resilience. People who live by the 3% rule don't see failure as a barrier. They see it as a clear mirror reflecting what needs to change, what must grow stronger, and what they should release. They don't get angry at their setbacks, nor do they punish themselves. Instead, they treat every fall as part of a long training process that builds their inner resilience. The danger isn't in falling, it lies in the internal messages we send ourselves afterward. Some say, "I'm a failure," while others view the same moment as a lesson that success alone could never teach. The author breaks down what he calls the dark loop of failure. One stumble can make a person fear trying again, pull back, escape, and drift farther from their goal, eventually believing they're incapable, when the truth is simply that they never gave themselves a second chance. Those with mental strength understand that success is never a straight line. It's a road full of bumps and sharp turns. The greatest victories often rise from the deepest setbacks. The real secret to handling failure is transforming it into practical questions. What did I learn? What can I improve? What is the smallest step I can take right now? With every honest answer, a person emerges from failure stronger than before they fell. Failure gives a person a gift that success rarely provides: the ability to see themselves clearly, understand their limits, and then expand those limits through persistence and repeated effort. In the end, the author emphasizes that those who reach the top aren't the ones who never stumbled, they're the ones who refuse to stay down, turning their pain into fuel that pushed them higher. The essence of Chapter 6: failure is not your enemy, it is the mentor that reshapes you if you are willing to learn. Chapter 7: the power of environment, how the people around you shape your destiny before you shape it yourself. The author highlights a truth many overlook, even though it accounts for nearly half of one's success. Your environment builds you before you ever build yourself. The people around you can lift you higher than you imagined, or slowly pull you downward without you even noticing. Human beings are deeply influenced by what they see, hear, and live with daily. The words spoken around you become part of your thoughts. The behaviors of those you spend time with become mirrors reflecting who you believe you are. And their ambitions, whether high or low, quietly determine the ceiling of your own dreams. This is why the author insists that one of the most crucial steps in building a life aligned with the 3% rule is purifying your environment, choosing people who support your growth, challenge you in positive ways, and consistently encourage you to evolve into a stronger version of yourself. The author stresses the importance of reassessing your relationships with complete honesty, not from an emotional angle, but from a practical one. Who fuels your energy, and who drains it? Who encourages your steps forward, and who dims your spark? The greatest danger a person can face isn't an obvious enemy, but a friendly voice that discourages them with a smile, or a family member who fears your growth because it forces them to confront their own stagnation. These people don't bring you down all at once. They pull you downward slowly through small, harmless-looking comments that gradually numb your willpower. Slow down. Why all this effort? Life isn't just work. Don't exhaust yourself. You won't succeed like this. Over time, a person absorbs these messages until their inner voice becomes an echo of those around them. Without realizing it, they stop moving, not because they failed, but because someone quietly convinced them to shrink. On the other side of the spectrum lies the growth-oriented environment, the kind of surroundings that make you aim higher without forcing it and push you to work harder without feeling depleted. These people remind you of what you can become. They celebrate your progress instead of fearing it. They expand your vision of life rather than narrowing it. When you place yourself among people who are moving forward, you inevitably move forward too, even if at a slower pace, because enthusiasm is contagious, energy is contagious, and ambition is contagious, just as negativity and fear are.
The author emphasizes that choosing your environment is not a luxury, it is a life-shaping decision. If you don't intentionally choose the people around you, you will end up in an environment that chose you, and it will rarely align with your goals. A person can change their habits and thoughts, but they will remain entrapped in the same cycle unless they also change the people who influence them. Success begins with the hardest decision of all, stepping away from those who dim your light and moving closer to those who ignite something new within you. The essence of Chapter 7: you cannot build a great life inside a small environment. The higher you rise, the more you need companions who rise with you, not companions who drain you. In this chapter, the author arrives at the greatest lesson on the path to success. Consistency is the hidden engine, an invisible force that reshapes your life from the inside out long before others can see it. He explains that most people don't fail because they lack knowledge. They fail because they cannot sustain what they start. They begin with blazing enthusiasm, only to fade at the first obstacle, the first moment of boredom, or the first day they don't see immediate results. The top 3% understand that success isn't a quick event. It's a long journey where you plant tiny seeds every day without seeing fruits right away, trusting that growth is happening underground, out of sight. The author compares consistency to digging a well. You might dig for days without water appearing, but a few drops are enough to prove you were closer than you ever imagined. Small habits work the same way. Their impact is invisible at first, yet life-changing when they accumulate quietly over time. He then shifts to the biggest psychological challenge. The human mind gets bored with repetition, even when it's beneficial. It begins inventing excuses to escape the simple daily task. The truth is that monotony is the birthplace of inner strength. Consistency means showing up on the days you are excited, the days you feel dull, and the days life feels heavy. It means staying standing when others sit down, pressing forward when everyone else stops. Consistency is not just a behavior, it is an identity. When you prove to yourself day after day that you are someone who does not quit, your brain begins to see you that way. Your confidence changes, your resilience changes, and your entire approach to life transforms. Those who stay consistent inevitably win, because the person who does little but does it daily always surpasses the one who does a lot but quits. With each day of persistence, an enormous strength builds within you, a private strength only you can feel, a force that makes you unshakable and impossible to extinguish. The author concludes that consistency is the true extension of the success contract, to keep going when no one is watching, because what you do in silence eventually appears in the spotlight when your time comes. The essence of Chapter 8: consistency is not movement, it is a spirit, not a habit, but a destiny. Whoever masters consistency masters victory.
Internal identity is the silent image we hold of ourselves, the picture that sets the ceiling of our dreams long before reality does. The author explains that no matter how hard a person tries to change habits or goals, they always revert to what they believe about themselves deep inside. If someone sees themselves as weak, they betray their own path at the first obstacle. If they see themselves as unworthy, they step back from opportunities, even when they are presented on a silver platter. If they see themselves as incapable, they fail before they even start. Here, the author reveals a remarkable truth. External behavior follows identity, not the other way around. This is why the top 3% don't begin their journey by simply changing their actions. They start by changing how they see themselves. The person who believes they are capable will find a way.
The one who believes they are worthy will sit at the table they once feared. The one who believes they are disciplined will follow the habits that build their future, even if it takes time. The author emphasizes that a new identity doesn't emerge from a single decision. It is forged through small, consistent victories that prove to yourself that you are changing. Getting up early despite fatigue, working on your goals when you'd rather rest, saying, "I will finish," despite the noise of excuses, and doing the work even when no one is watching. Each time you triumph over your old self, you lay a brick in the foundation of a stronger, broader, braver identity, one fully capable of facing life's challenges. He then touches on a crucial point. Identity isn't fixed. It is a continuous project of construction, deconstruction, and refinement. Every new habit, every bold step, every difficult decision adds a layer to your character and brings you closer to the version of yourself you aspire to become.
Conclusion: the moment of rising, stepping into a new version of your life. After exploring habits, discipline, breaking excuses, building focus, facing failure, purifying your environment, embracing consistency, and reshaping your identity, the author arrives at the ultimate truth. Success is not an external path to follow, but an internal journey in which you rediscover yourself and rewrite your life. Life does not hand anyone ready-made success, but it gives everyone the power to create their own, step by step, no matter how small the beginning or how challenging the circumstances. The path does not demand perfection, superhuman strength, or ideal conditions. It asks for just one thing: that you begin and keep moving forward. The author reminds you that everything discussed in this book, from the 3% rule, the power of habits, the resilience of consistency, to the depth of identity reconstruction, is not merely advice. It is a call to reclaim sovereignty over your life, a call to stop living reactively and start living intentionally, a call to silence the voice of fear and listen to your true inner voice, the voice that has been telling you for years, "You are capable. Just give me a chance." The world does not reward the smartest nor the most talented. It rewards those who are consistent, present, and willing to take a small step each day. The person who proves to themselves that they can commit becomes capable of transforming anything in their life, no matter how big or complex. The greatest victory is to look in the mirror and say with certainty, "I didn't become a new version of myself because circumstances changed. I became new because I changed." With this understanding, the future becomes a tangible project, the path no longer unknown but achievable, and every step, no matter how small, becomes a silent declaration that you have chosen to rise, not remain where you were. The final message: success seeks no one, it aligns with those who deserve it. Those who remain steadfast, those who take action, those who rise after every fall, these are the ones who earn it. If you can progress even a little each day, you have the power to transform your entire life. In the end, success is not a matter of luck, it is an identity, a responsibility, and a decision renewed with every sunrise.
Now it's your turn. Don't wait for the perfect circumstances. Don't wait for luck. Don't postpone your life until tomorrow. What you've learned is a plan, a tool, a life philosophy. But the real application begins with you. Start today with a small step. Repeat it tomorrow and continue every single day. Every tiny habit, every modest commitment, every moment of patience and persistence is a seed that will one day grow into the towering tree of your success. Remember, you choose your identity, you write your future, and you decide to rise. Don't let fear or excuses hold you back. Stand up, make your decision, and begin crafting the best version of yourself right now. Because success doesn't belong to those who merely watch the world. It belongs to those who persist, who remain consistent, and who improve themselves just a little every day until they transform their entire life. Start today, continue tomorrow, build the life you truly want.